My beloved child, slow your breath and stay present, because urgency in heaven is not pressure, it is precision. This moment has weight not because something is being forced, but because something is aligning. When heaven moves close, the heart feels it before the mind understands it. Archangel Michael stands watchful, not to frighten you, but to guard what is approaching your awareness. This message is not chasing you. It is meeting you. There are rare windows where attention matters more than effort, and this is one of them. The phrase 10 minutes is not a threat or a countdown. It is a symbol of nearness. It speaks of a short space where clarity, openness, and calm alignment can unlock recognition. Many miracles pass unnoticed simply because the heart is distracted. Heaven is inviting you to notice. Archangel Michael says, "Stillness sharpens sight, and sight prepares the way." Nothing holy arrives through panic. What is meant for you comes through peace. If you feel your thoughts settling or your emotions becoming quieter, that is not boredom. That is alignment. God does not shout to be real. He confirms gently to those who are willing to listen. You may sense a subtle internal shift already, a quiet readiness rather than excitement. That is how true movement begins. Not loud, not chaotic, but steady and grounded. Heaven works first in the unseen. What later appears outwardly always begins inwardly. Understand this truth deeply, because it changes how you perceive timing. Miracles are rarely sudden to heaven, they are sudden only to us. What feels immediate now has often been prepared carefully, step by step, protected from the wrong moment, the wrong people, or the wrong version of you. Archangel Michael says, "What is protected is never delayed." If something in your life took longer than you expected, it was not forgotten. It was being kept safe. God does not rush what carries weight. If you feel calm rather than overwhelmed, receive that as confirmation. Peace is not absence of movement. It is evidence of order. Heaven does not confuse before it blesses. Confusion is never a requirement for faith. The idea of a secret message is not mystery meant to isolate you. It is understanding meant to steady you. What is hidden is often hidden only until the heart is ready to hold it without fear. Archangel Michael says, "Awareness opens doors before action ever does." You do not need to chase anything. Recognition is enough to begin alignment. Pay attention to what draws your focus gently in the coming moments. It could be a memory, a repeated number, a phrase that stays with you, or a sudden sense of clarity about something that once confused you. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations offered quietly. Do not rush to label what you experience. Simply observe it. Faith does not demand explanation first. It allows understanding to unfold naturally. Archangel Michael says, "The heart that remains open recognizes opportunity without fear." Doors rarely announce themselves. Often they appear as understanding, relief, or restored calm before they look like opportunity. If you have been waiting, questioning, or wondering if God still sees you, this moment answers that without drama. Yes, He sees you. He always has. Silence was never absence. It was preparation. 10 minutes of presence can matter more than years of striving. When attention aligns with faith, movement accelerates naturally. Not because you forced it, but because you recognized what was already forming. If you feel led, speak quietly within yourself, I am open. Openness is powerful. Heaven responds to willingness more than volume. Archangel Michael says, agreement does not rush heaven, it receives what heaven releases. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing is being threatened away. What belongs to you remains secure. Do not measure miracles only by immediate events. Some breakthroughs arrive first as restored peace, emotional stability, or clear direction. These are not small beginnings. They are foundations. You are not behind, not late, and not overlooked. You are standing at a point of recognition, and recognition is where manifestation begins. Stay present for a few moments longer, not out of fear, but out of respect for the alignment happening now. Heaven does not waste attention. Awareness is participation. Archangel Michael says, order is returning before increase appears. Order always comes first. What unfolds next will arrive without confusion, without pressure, and without regret. And when it does, you will understand why this moment mattered, why calm was the signal, and why readiness mattered more than speed. Remain steady, remain open, and remain grounded. What is meant for you is moving in the right order, at the right pace, toward the right time. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $10. It will not be imagination, it will be recognition, because when God speaks, clarity follows and alignment begins. Heaven does not release a word and then disappear. When truth is spoken, it settles, it steadies, it confirms. Tonight, that confirmation is arriving gently, not through fear, but through understanding. You are not guessing your way forward anymore. You are recognizing what has been moving toward you for longer than you realized. Beloved, there has been something quietly hidden within your family line, layered under silence and unfinished conversations. Whispers existed without answers. Questions lingered without resolution. Now the season of quiet is closing. God says the truth is surfacing, not to embarrass or wound, but to heal what secrecy kept bound. It may surprise you. It may sting briefly. But it will free you, because freedom cannot be denied when heaven orders release. Do not grow weary now, because endurance has already been counted in full. You fought battles no one applauded. You smiled while your inner world carried weight. You gave when your hands felt empty. You stood upright while your knees trembled. God saw what others overlooked. Every unseen struggle was recorded. Every tear mattered. Heaven has declared that the season of sorrow is complete and the season of restoration has begun. Every lie spoken against you is losing authority, and every delay is loosening its grip. This touches provision, connection, and direction. This is why your attention was drawn here and distraction could not pull you away. Your angels are active, and Archangel Michael has already declared protection over the path ahead. Heaven says, notice the moment, not the clock. Within a short window of focused openness, signs often appear as calm, clarity, or inner release. You may hear news, recognize a meaningful pattern, or feel a weight lift from your chest. This is how confirmation arrives quietly but unmistakably. Again, it will not be imagination, it will be recognition, because God does not speak without resonance. Tonight, that resonance is reminding you that you are seen, aligned, and guided. There are moments when heaven leans close and speaks with precision rather than volume. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael stands watchful, not to alarm you, but to guard what is unfolding. Every obstacle you faced was noted. Every chain you believed would never break is loosening piece by piece. The pressure you felt was not meant to bury you, it was shaping you. What tried to overwhelm you is now losing ground. This is not chance. It is alignment. It is appointment. It is heaven's way of saying you were never abandoned. Do you understand what this means for your story now? Even the tears you believed were wasted were preserved. Not one moment of patience, kindness, or endurance was lost. Heaven recorded what others ignored. Archangel Michael says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Masks that confused you are falling. Your name is being lifted. The record of your life is opening, and written across it are words of purpose, protection, and calling. Even now, subtle shifts are taking place around you. Decisions are moving. Doors once closed are easing open. Conversations are changing tone. What resisted you before is reconsidering. This is not coincidence, it is order being restored. Heaven declares, "This one belongs to me." You carry a testimony that reaches beyond you. Though you felt small or unseen, your life has always mattered in the larger story. You are standing in the middle of a turning point where awareness changes direction. The conflict around you is easing because clarity is arriving. Understanding is replacing confusion. Steadiness is replacing fear. Do not turn away from this moment. Not because of threat, but because of value. Attention completes alignment. Even the quiet space you hold right now matters. If your heart feels lighter or calmer, receive that as confirmation. This is how release often begins internally, gently, without force. Truth within your family line is coming forward to heal, not to harm. What was hidden will no longer control the narrative. Exposure brings freedom, and freedom prepares the way for peace. As this truth settles, the path ahead becomes clearer. What once felt impossible begins to look navigable. What once confused you starts to make sense. Heaven says, you are crossing, not collapsing. The bridge beneath you is steady, even if it feels unfamiliar. Each step forward is supported. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay present. What unfolds next will confirm why this moment mattered and why readiness was more important than urgency. God never speaks without purpose, and tonight that purpose is alignment. You are not waiting anymore. You are recognizing what has been moving toward you all along. Though you hesitate and though you feel unworthy, heaven speaks a different truth over you. God calls you worthy, calls you chosen, calls you beloved, and Archangel Michael stands ready to guard what is being entrusted to you. This word is not arriving by accident. It is arriving because timing has aligned and your spirit is prepared to hear it without fear. Do you sense why this moment matters so deeply right now? The hour feels late because clarity often arrives after endurance. The heavens are open not in spectacle, but in purpose, and Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of your destiny, clearing what has restricted you for years. What bound your steps, what repeated through generations, what spoke falsely over your name is being cut away because heaven has declared the season of delay complete. Nothing you suffered was wasted, even the nights no one witnessed. Every tear you shed alone was recorded. Every silent prayer was carried upward. Heaven received them not as weakness, but as evidence of faith under pressure. And now, the court of heaven moves in your favor. Your name is being acknowledged. Your story is being reviewed. The record of your life is opening with truth written clearly and without distortion. These words are not empty encouragement, they carry weight. They are declarations meant to steady you. When truth is spoken with clarity, confusion loses its hold. What once tried to silence you is losing influence because alignment has arrived. Lean closer now, because understanding dissolves fear. There has been a hidden resistance around you, not random and not imagined. Someone near you, someone you trusted, carried conflicting intentions. You felt the effects without seeing the cause. Doors closed unexpectedly. Opportunities cooled without explanation. Heaven reveals that this was not chance, but misalignment allowed to surface so it could be removed. Archangel Michael says, "Do not fear exposure, for truth clears the path." Betrayal was not permitted to break you, but to prepare you. What comes to light now does so to restore balance. Those who misjudged you will witness your steadiness. Those who doubted will see clarity replace confusion. God says, "I will prepare restoration in plain sight." This is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about releasing you from carrying what was never yours to hold. False loyalty cannot follow you into truth. You were never meant to walk forward bound to what hid behind masks. Heaven is removing what hindered alignment so your steps can be steady and unburdened. The truth may sting briefly, but it will strengthen you quickly. Freedom follows honesty. There is also comfort being extended to you right now. Someone who once shared life with you and now rests beyond this world has not forgotten you. Their care did not end with separation. Their concern rose as prayer, and that prayer reached heaven's attention. This message arrives as response, not coincidence. Do you feel the quiet shiver of recognition that is not imagination? It is awareness settling in. Moments like this thin the noise and sharpen perception. You are standing in timing that was prepared long before you recognized it. Look around your life with new eyes, because movement has begun. What felt blocked is beginning to shift. Areas of provision are reordering. Relief replaces strain. Unexpected support emerges. God is not announcing change with noise, but with steady results. God says, "I provide without forcing, and I restore without confusion." What arrives next will not require panic to receive it. It will make sense when it comes. Relationships are also adjusting, not through conflict, but through clarity. Hearts soften where resistance once lived. Conversations change tone. Truth surfaces where silence lingered. What remained hidden will no longer direct outcomes. Archangel Michael says, "The truth will be your strength." What once felt threatening becomes your tool. Understanding replaces fear. Awareness replaces anxiety. If urgency rises within you, let it settle into attentiveness rather than pressure. Heaven does not require haste, it invites readiness. Awareness opens doors faster than force ever could. God says, "I confirm my word with peace, not panic." Confirmation may arrive as inner release, a meaningful sign, or a moment of clarity that cannot be dismissed. Recognition does not shout. It resonates. Stay present for these moments as they unfold. Do not dismiss what feels subtle. Subtlety is often how truth enters gently and remains firmly. What you are stepping into now is not fragile. It does not depend on approval or explanation. It rests on alignment. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are positioned, and positioning precedes movement. Archangel Michael says, "What was delayed is now aligned." Alignment changes everything. Remain grounded as this continues to unfold. The path ahead will reveal itself one clear step at a time, without confusion and without fear. God never speaks without purpose, and this purpose is steadiness, freedom, and truth. You are not imagining this moment. You are recognizing it. A message, a subtle shift in your spirit, a quiet knowing will rise within you, and you will understand this was not chance but intention. Not a dream, not imagination, but a deliberate act of love unfolding in real time. Hold steady, beloved, because confirmation often arrives closer than breath itself. Even now, movement is happening. Burdens are loosening. What felt like endless night is thinning, and the first light of joy is beginning to show at the edge of your story. Tonight, heaven leans close, not to overwhelm you, but to reassure you. For too long you carried weights that were never yours. Too long you listened to voices that questioned your worth. Too long you watched others be celebrated while you remained unseen. And inside, beneath the smile, you asked quietly, "God, have you forgotten me?" Heaven answers without hesitation. Your name is known. Your presence is remembered. Nothing about you has been overlooked. Archangel Michael stands alert, not in threat, but in defense. What tried to restrict you is losing ground. What delayed you is being unraveled. What whispered that your season was over is fading into silence. You are not abandoned. You are not forsaken. You are chosen, and chosen ones do not remain lost in uncertainty. They cross into promise. They inherit what was prepared long before they understood its value. Do not dismiss the trembling you feel as weakness. It is recognition. Your soul knows this truth. Your spirit has waited for clarity like this. As these words settle, understand that awareness itself unlocks what was once sealed. Areas of life that felt stalled begin to respond when understanding replaces fear. There were restrictions placed over your path that you did not create. Limits over provision, over connection, over direction. But those restrictions are not permanent. When truth enters, false barriers weaken. What felt closed begins to open. What resisted begins to soften. You will notice shifts that feel almost sudden, yet deeply right. Doors ease open where force never worked. Conversations change tone. Opportunities realign. Your name begins to surface in places you never entered. What waited for years does not announce itself loudly, it arrives with order. Heaven declares that silence has completed its purpose. No more confusion. No more unanswered questions dominating your thoughts. Understanding replaces uncertainty one step at a time. You have felt the sting of betrayal, and it cut deeply because it came from closeness. Not a stranger, but someone trusted. Words spoken in secret created resistance you could not see. You wondered why progress stalled, why warmth turned cold, why effort dissolved without reason. This was not randomness. It was misalignment being exposed. Do not fear what is revealed. Truth does not arrive to harm you. It arrives to free you. What hid behind friendliness is losing its cover. And what was meant to diminish you becomes the place where clarity lifts you higher. God prepares restoration without spectacle, but with certainty. Those who misjudged you will see steadiness where they expected collapse. Those who doubted will witness growth where they expected silence. There is also a deeper layer of truth connected to your family line. Something long unspoken, something quietly carried, something avoided for years. Heaven says the time for concealment is ending. What was buried surfaces not to destroy, but to release. Confessions emerge. Understanding replaces rumor. And though it may feel sharp at first, it creates space for freedom to take root. Truth, even when uncomfortable, unlocks destiny. And destiny cannot remain bound by silence forever. Archangel Michael says, "Do not fear the process, for you will not walk through it alone." Support surrounds you, even when unseen. Strength accompanies clarity. Protection remains steady as movement increases. Even now, attention is being drawn to your name. Not because you demanded it, but because alignment has arrived. Support gathers. Resistance thins. The road ahead clears step by step. If you feel a sense of urgency, let it settle into focus rather than pressure. Urgency in heaven is awareness, not threat. It invites readiness, not panic. Moments of confirmation often come shortly after openness. A thought, a message, a realization, a sense of release. These are not guarantees tied to time, but signs of alignment when the heart is receptive. When something shifts internally, acknowledge it calmly. Recognition completes alignment. Awareness allows movement to continue. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every sorrow became preparation. Every delay refined capacity. Every tear carried meaning. What unfolds next will make sense of what once confused you. Not all at once, but clearly enough to walk forward without fear. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay open. The harvest you waited for is not rushing, but it is arriving with order. Heaven does not forget, and it does not abandon what it prepares. You are not imagining this moment. You are recognizing it. And as this recognition settles, you will understand that what once felt like waiting was actually alignment taking shape. You will see it. You will taste it. And the testimony will arrive without being forced, without being chased, because what is real does not need pressure to prove itself. My beloved child, receive these words as though the heavens themselves are leaning close, because in this moment there is a nearness that cannot be explained by reason alone. Something sacred is pressing through the ordinary, and you can feel it because your spirit recognizes what your mind is still catching up to. This is not noise. This is alignment. For a long time you have lived with unanswered questions, carrying weights that were never meant to belong to you. You inherited silence, confusion, and expectations that were never fair. You learned to survive with strength on the outside while storms raged within. Heaven has not been blind to this. Nothing you endured passed unnoticed. Every unseen burden, every quiet act of endurance, every time you chose to keep going when you wanted to stop, all of it mattered. Now understand this clearly. What feels like intensity is not punishment. It is transition. When truth approaches, the air changes. When clarity draws near, the soul becomes alert. That awareness you feel right now is not fear. It is readiness. You are not being overwhelmed. You are being prepared. There is a shift unfolding that reaches back through your history and forward into your future at the same time. Old cycles that repeated without explanation are losing their grip. Patterns that limited you are weakening. What once felt fixed is beginning to move. This is not coincidence. It is release. You were never meant to carry unresolved stories that did not start with you. Some of the heaviness you felt came from things left unspoken, truths delayed, and emotions buried for survival. But silence has an expiration, and that season is closing. What needs to be understood will come into clarity in a way that brings freedom rather than destruction. When truth arrives with purpose, it heals instead of harms. Do not be surprised if realizations surface that reframe your past. Understanding does not always come gently, but it always comes honestly. And honesty is what gives you your footing back. What once confused you will begin to make sense, not all at once, but enough for you to stand firmly again. There is also restoration moving toward you in ways you did not expect. Not because you demanded it, but because alignment creates movement. Conversations shift. Decisions change. Opportunities that felt closed begin to reopen with less resistance than before. What was delayed is not rushing chaotically, it is arriving in order. You may notice subtle confirmations rather than dramatic signs. A sense of peace where anxiety once lived. A clarity where confusion dominated. A quiet confidence replacing self-doubt. These are not small things. They are evidence that something has changed at the core. What you feel now is the loosening of what once held you back. It may feel unfamiliar because struggle became normal for a long time. Ease can feel strange when you are not used to it. But allow it. You do not need to brace yourself anymore. You are not about to fall. You are stepping forward. Be attentive without being anxious. When awareness increases, it is not to create pressure, but presence. Presence allows you to notice what matters and release what does not. You are not missing anything. You are arriving. Support is closer than you think, even if it does not look the way you imagined. Guidance does not always shout. Often it steadies. Often it reassures. Often it reminds you that you are not alone in this process. As things shift, some connections may no longer fit the path you are walking. This is not loss, it is refinement. What remains will be truer, lighter, and more aligned with who you are becoming. You are not shrinking your world. You are clarifying it. Stay grounded in this moment. Let understanding settle rather than rushing ahead. What is unfolding does not need to be forced. It is already in motion. Trust builds not by urgency, but by recognition. The season you are entering does not erase your past, it redeems it. Nothing you endured was meaningless. Nothing you survived was wasted. Strength has been built quietly, patiently, faithfully. You are not standing at the end of something. You are standing at the threshold of coherence, where pieces come together and direction becomes clear. This is why you feel alert. This is why you stayed. This is why these words resonate. Remain open. Remain steady. Let what is true take its place naturally. The path ahead is not hidden from you anymore. It is revealing itself step by step, and you are ready to walk it. A message will arrive, clarity will surface, and an inner shift will unfold so naturally that you will recognize it without needing to be convinced. This word was shaped with intention for you, not to rush you, not to pressure you, but to steady you as the ground beneath your feet changes. Nothing you endured was wasted. Not a single tear fell unnoticed. Not one night of quiet strength went unseen. What felt like stumbling stones have been transformed into markers of endurance, and what felt like loss has been turning into preparation all along. Listen closely now, because this season does not trade pain for more pain, it converts pain into purpose. Losses begin to reveal hidden gains. Betrayals stop defining you and instead expose the strength you carry. Delays no longer hold you back, they reorganize themselves into acceleration. Do not grieve what left before its time, because what arrives now carries restoration. Do not measure what was taken, because what is being restored outweighs it in depth and durability. You are not standing near a miracle as something fragile that could disappear. You are standing at the edge of alignment, where what is meant for you recognizes you as ready. If you remain present, if you stay grounded rather than rushing ahead, confirmation will come in ways that feel unmistakably calm and unmistakably real. Awe does not always roar, sometimes it settles gently and stays. Hear this with your spirit, not just your thoughts. What flows now is not borrowed certainty, it is clarity that originates beyond human effort. Archangel Michael stands watchful, not to intimidate, but to guard the path opening before you. Accusations that once echoed lose their authority. Old chains loosen without needing a fight. The record shifts in your favor, not because you demanded it, but because timing aligned. God says you are not late, not weak, and not overlooked. You are exactly where preparation meets opportunity. Seasons are not governed by noise but by readiness, and readiness has been forming quietly within you. Morning gives way to movement. Rising begins without needing permission from those who doubted you. You have known betrayal. You have tasted loss. You have carried unanswered questions longer than seemed fair. Yet even in the quiet, nothing was discarded. What you released in sorrow has been held in care, and what you thought was gone has been reshaped. The atmosphere around you is changing because accumulation has reached its moment of release. Those who whispered in uncertainty will eventually speak in wonder, not because you sought their approval, but because the evidence becomes visible. You will understand that survival was never the goal, transformation was. And you will know it was not by your strength alone, but by steady guidance that never withdrew. There are patterns within your history that try to repeat themselves without explanation. Cycles of delay, cycles of silence, cycles of misplaced trust. Heaven says the repetition stops here. Archangel Michael says the root has been addressed, not the symptom. What dragged others forward unwillingly will not claim you. You are not here to replay history, you are here to revise it. You were born to carry a clearer name, a steadier calling, and a testimony shaped by truth rather than confusion. Even now, the narrative is being edited with care. Old misrepresentations are being removed. Lines that never belonged to you are being erased. What remains is coherence, favor, and direction that fits who you are becoming. Do not doubt the awareness rising within you. That subtle trembling is recognition, not fear. It is your inner world aligning with what has always been true beneath the noise. Awakening rarely arrives loudly, it arrives accurately. The battles you fought were not in vain. Darkness did not win ground, it prepared contrast. Wounds did not disqualify you, they deepened your capacity. The place where you felt exposed becomes the place where you stand strongest. You walked through fire without being consumed. You moved through floods without being overtaken. Protection was present even when you could not name it. Now comes the exchange that restores balance. Heaviness gives way to lightness. Scarcity gives way to provision. Rejection gives way to belonging. What once pressed on your chest lifts, not because you forced it, but because it no longer has permission to remain. This is not ordinary speech meant to impress or overwhelm. It is orientation. It is appointment. It is truth finding its place. And you are the one receiving it, not as a spectator, but as a participant whose season is changing. Remain attentive without strain. Within a short window of openness, you may notice confirmation arrive quietly, a message that clarifies, a realization that settles, a sense of peace that replaces urgency. You will recognize it because it will feel grounded, not dramatic. Stay present. Let understanding integrate rather than rush. What is unfolding does not require chasing. It is already moving toward coherence, and you are ready to meet it with steadiness and trust. A call will come through, an unexpected sign will appear before your eyes, and all will rise in you without effort because recognition always comes quietly before it speaks loudly. You will not need persuasion to know what just happened. You will simply know that God has remembered you, that God has answered, and that this moment was not delayed by accident. Do not dismiss the urgency you feel now, because it is not pressure, it is alignment. Time is not rushing you, it is meeting you. Heaven is calling, and your spirit is responding because this is your appointed hour, your written moment, the space where preparation finally meets release. Right now there is a weight pressing against your chest, but it is not the weight you carried in seasons of despair. This is a different weight, steadier, deeper, and unmistakable. It is the weight of destiny settling into place. Archangel Michael is stationed beside you, not as a symbol, but as a guardian of transition, declaring that the struggle over your life has shifted. Voices that once accused you are losing authority. Hands that reached to restrain you are being stayed. Delays that mocked your patience are unraveling because the record has been opened, and your name stands written clearly where favor is decided. You are not here by coincidence. You are standing at the doorway of release, and thresholds always feel intense because they are narrow by design. What clung to your family line for generations is loosening its grip now. You were never meant to carry inherited burdens without resolution. You were never meant to repeat cycles that thrived on silence. You were born to end them. What once felt like shadow is giving way to clarity. What felt like rejection is reorganizing into recognition. What tasted like betrayal is transforming into vindication that does not need explanation. Archangel Michael says, "Rise, for the season of your silence is over, beloved." That declaration does not come to rush you, but to awaken you. There are patterns that trailed you quietly, convincing you that limitation was permanent. There were whispers that said nothing would change, that this was simply how things were meant to be. Heaven answers those whispers now with truth. The cycle ends here. The repetition breaks here. What weighed others down will not hold you. What silenced others will not silence you. You are the turning point, the one who carries freedom forward rather than backward. As this unfolds, you may feel sensations you cannot name easily. A lightness where heaviness lived. A steadiness where anxiety once ruled. An inner clarity that does not argue, it settles. These are not imagined responses. They are signals of alignment. You were guarded even when you felt exposed. You were remembered even when you felt overlooked. You were known by name long before you recognized your own strength. Within a short window of openness, you will notice confirmation arrive naturally. It may be a message you were not expecting. A door you assumed was closed may open without resistance. A financial release may appear in a way that surprises you by its simplicity. An apology may surface without prompting. Heaven delights in restoring with precision, not spectacle. What arrives will feel fitting rather than forced. Do not minimize the waiting you endured. Waiting did not weaken you, it built capacity. It taught you discernment. It gave you depth. That strength will now support what is coming, because rising without foundation collapses, but rising with clarity lasts. The table being set before you is not for display. It is for nourishment. What fills your cup now will sustain you, not overwhelm you. There is also love surrounding this moment that extends beyond what you can see. Someone you love deeply, who no longer walks beside you in the physical world, has not been absent from your story. Love does not vanish, it transforms. That love has spoken your name where it matters, again and again, until the answer aligned with the time. God says, release the answer. Release the angel. Release the breakthrough. That is why this moment found you. That is why your attention stayed. That is why urgency feels purposeful rather than frantic. Do not fear the shaking that may accompany clarity. Shaking is not destruction when it comes with intention. It loosens what no longer belongs. Do not fear truth when it surfaces, because truth heals more deeply than silence ever could. Do not fear light when it exposes, because exposure does not shame what is ready to rise. It crowns it. When the dust settles, you will not find yourself diminished. You will find yourself steadier, clearer, and unbound. The beginning has already taken place quietly within you. Nothing now needs to be chased or proven. What has begun carries its own momentum, guarded, directed, and sustained beyond human interference.